Is Azure Latch a perfectly balanced game? Well, although most people would argue that there is no way a game like this is even close to being well balanced, I'd argue that it's actually closer than you think. In all the chaos of the different moves, shots, and controls, there lies a pretty balanced formula within it all. And today, I'll explain to you how Azure Latch is almost a perfectly balanced game. Now, the first reason why this game is more balanced than you think is because every character's strength has a direct counter to it. Just sometimes, that counter isn't available on your team, so you think that playstyle or ability is too OP. Take Baru for example. He has a lot of really strong iframe moves that can push him up the field really easily. However, after he's done his primary move, King's Path, or during his long shot, he's extremely vulnerable to Aiku's reflex tackle. And furthermore, his long shot not having any curve to it makes it pretty easy to Venom Trap or Horrific Intercept at the right range. And although a Baru with good spatial awareness can just shoot it away from the IQ, that usually leaves the goalie, ideally a human one, to have a pretty easy save incoming. Let's take another character that has a pretty overpowered shot move, Kaiser. Although his Magnus lineup within the goal box is extremely difficult to save even for a player GK, he has to physically plant himself in that sweet spot with the ball. And unlike Baru, he does not have good movement abilities for him to do so. Off the ball is pretty mid, and his dribble being a counter inherently makes it so you have to make someone else mess up to propel yourself towards the goal. This fundamentally makes it so you need to make very calculated and difficult movements to get in the sweet spot against a full team. Well, if Aiku's reflex tackle is one of the main components of this game being balanced, wouldn't it make him overpowered? Well, not exactly. The ability to dribble and counter through reflex tackle not only makes it a bit more fair to go up against an IQ, but also gives the characters with counter moves a slight advantage over him, which is very helpful since counters are sometimes regarded as useless now. And if both your counter and dribble are exhausted, then you can try to outmaneuver the IQ with well-placed headers. However, the counter to this, of course, is that he does have a pretty strong control move. That leaves us with only one option left, and it's to actually pass to our teammates. Crazy, right? Let me elaborate more on the presence of control moves though. Now, I'm not going to deny that Horrific Intercept and Venom Trap are very easy to hit. However, there's a pretty unknown counter to bait these seemingly unstoppable moves out. Now, most people think that not being on header mode is useless and just turn on auto header mode. And frankly, I keep auto header mode on too, because I'm too lazy to constantly be pressing E to switch it. But the secret to countering these control moves lies in the non-header mode. By popping the ball up in the air and immediately slicing into it without header mode on, you'll just grab it. If an IQ or Dawn or Nagi takes the bait here and pops their control move, they likely won't grab it in time, completely wasting the move. Another seemingly overpowered use of the control move is that you can completely cover someone and deny them of any passes with it. However, this argument is once again not true because you can just pass people on ground floor, making control moves useless, and if placed right, perfectly getting it to a spot where your teammate can reach it first. This game is a big game of technique, rock, paper, scissors, and every overpowered move on the defensive and offensive side has their respective weaknesses from different styles. Now, let's discuss flow. Flow is basically the final straw to push that team or play over the edge. The player GK is too good? Flow moves when placed right are unstoppable, even against a good GK. Is a teammate guarding my top striker the entire game? If his flow runs off proximity, if he's spamming the move hard enough, he'll activate the cutscene before the Dawn, IQ, or Nagi could ever steal the pass. When your plays aren't working, or your shots are getting glubbed because it's literally Gagamaru in the goal box, Flow can help you get that final unsavable shot to win the game. However, Flow still requires proper positioning and passing to work, so the counter to it is to just actually play good defense. And the last thing people think are a little unbalanced are player GKs. Now, I'll agree as much as the next guy that the hitboxes are still a little too large. However, some people underestimate the power players have against player GKs. Sure, if you walk straight up to a player GK, pop Nagi's heavy, even if you flick the other way at the last second, it's not going in. But the game gives you more opportunities to score on difficult GKs than you think. Obviously, I talked about flow earlier, but that shouldn't be the only way to score. But without style-dependent moves, volleys and base curve shots are tools that are more useful than you think in the right hands. Whenever I have leaderboard players in my game, they score just off base and one curve shots against human GKs. And with volleys, sometimes they're a little too fast to even react to, at the cost of being difficult to set up in game. And the second tool is by coordinating shot plays with your teammates. Coordinating shot moves into shot moves is, I'll admit, really difficult, but if you can place it well, human GKs have a very tough time reacting to it because it's basically an instant bullet in the goal. So as long as you don't shoot it directly in their chest, it should go in. And with AI GKs, well, they suck, but if you both have AI GKs, it's even because it's literally the same AI. Now, I'd be lying if I said this game was perfectly balanced. There's a few things that affect gameplay a little too negatively and could definitely be fixed. Firstly is the full camping in goal box as a player. I get people do this because AI GKs are god-awful, but they shouldn't be able to literally stay behind the goal line and play as a secondary GK. To fix this, I would simply not allow player teammates to go into the goal box, similar to how it is offensively with the invisible barrier. And the second thing is that although styles aren't too overpowered in ideal conditions, some of them are underpowered. I'd say the two weakest styles right now are Asagi and Nagi. Now, I did see your comments on this video, go watch it by the way, and some of you Asagi mains do actually pull a decent amount of goals on player GKs. I still have no idea how, as direct shot only has average speed with no curve to it. It also still has wind up, so I still stand by the point that his base kit is pretty weak. I'd say give him some kind of rework or new move to his base, but they're probably saving all of the future Asagi moves for Nel Asagi, so I guess Asagi is just doomed to be mid. And with Nagi, he's good, but as I also stated in my other video, he doesn't have any powerful shot moves. Heavy isn't bad, but it's pretty easy to glove as a player GK with all that windup. And I think its control variant got a buff, so we're going in the right direction, but it still feels a little weak. And lastly, although most flows are pretty balanced, fundamentally Shoutout's flow is a little too OP, specifically the back heal. Because you can literally pop flow in the goal box and spam 2 so quickly that even if the GK was right in front of you, a forward tackle wouldn't steal it from you. A guaranteed goal with 0 defense against it is always going to be a little unbalanced. And honestly, I don't know how to fix this. Maybe it's just an inevitable flaw of his kit. And for those reasons, Azure Latch is almost a perfectly balanced game. But what do you think? Do you agree? Or do you think I have no idea what I'm talking about? Tell me in the comments. As always, if you've watched this far, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed the video. And with that, have a great day, and I'll see you next time.